Stamp with Amy K YouTube Live, and I'm back finally from our team retreat. We had a great time in the weekend, over the weekend in Georgia, so really enjoyed the location and just hanging out and stamping with friends, and yeah, eating way too much, you know, the usual. So I'm going to scoop my camera down here just a little. It looks like I'm a little off center here. I'm going to try not to mess things up too much here. So, hey Karen, thanks for joining at 2 o'clock instead of 1 o'clock. Karen had texted me earlier and said she forgot to switch her clock back in her stamping studio, so she was waiting an hour early. So yay. All right, I see Colleen is here, and Carol and Sally as well. So we're going to be making actually a pretty quick and simple card. Hey, Barbara and Julie, thanks for joining. And Deborah's here, so hello, and thanks for coming in. So it's a quick and simple card. It's kind of a window look to it. That was what I was going for with it. I don't know if I created that or not, but that was kind of what I was aiming for when I did this. And it's really simple to make. It's just basically taking designer paper, chopping it up, sticking it on a piece of cardstock, and then putting it on the card front, layering it up a little bit, and all good. So I see. We did have a good time, Carol. It was really, you know, didn't really have any issues with flights or anything like that. Thank goodness, in and out quickly. But yeah, it was good. So I'm glad that you are here, Darlene and Pam and Gwen. And I don't know, it couldn't be too hard. You're here, Darlene. So, all right. Hey, Judith, thanks for joining. All right. So I'm going to set this aside and we'll talk a little bit about the stamp set. So the Garden Meadow stamp set bundle is actually one of the new online exclusives that is available to order starting today for everyone. It was available a little early for demonstrators to pre-order. But yeah, you can get it now. It is a photopolymer stamp set and it is beautiful. It's got some great kind of garden themed images. Obviously, if the name should give it away. I love the little boots. I did a card not too long ago with those little rain boots on it and kind of a rainbow of colors, and I thought that was really cute. Love the little fence, and again, just, you know, the wheelbarrow, all these kind of pretty garden images, some good sentiments in it. And then, hey, Sherry, thanks for joining. And then there's a great set of coordinating dies. So this die actually cuts the archway, and you can either use the positive or the negative side of it. So meaning you can cut something out of the center with it if you want to. Or you can use the frame of it. Once you cut the center out, then use the frame piece. So I did a card not too long ago with the frame, and it's really cool. It's a great die set. So again, it's called Garden Meadow. It's available today in the online exclusives only. So it is not in any catalog, so don't look for it there. You won't find it. So hey, Drew, thanks for hopping on. So so then we've got a couple of coordinating dies here. So these are, you know, looks like a little bit of grass, maybe some shrubs or a hill. And then this one looks like a little hill. So lots of good dies for layering. And then we have the fence die. So this is actually 2 dies. So there is a smaller fence that looks like that you can cut, as well as the larger kind of outlined images. This one will cut out your fence, the boots, the watering can. Again, all the stamped images you can cut out with the little dies in here. Again, available today, starting early this morning. So again, online exclusives. So if you go out to the Stampin' Up! Online store and click on the little menu button and then go down to online exclusives, you'll see it all right there. All right, let me set those aside. And one other thing that I did use on this is the Stylish Shapes dies. And I think it was the third from the largest circle die that I used to cut out the sentiment on there. So this is one of those die sets that is in the annual catalog, and I use it on pretty much every card. Not quite every card, but almost every card. So if you do not have this die set, you should grab it because it's pretty awesome. So hey, Connie and Susan and Quinn, thanks for joining. And Deborah Anderson, if I missed you, thanks for hopping in as well. All right, so I'm going to set that aside. And then online exclusives, I already talked briefly about that. But there are, I think, 10-ish or so. I can't remember. I didn't really count very carefully. New online exclusive items that are available starting today from Stampin' Up! This stuff that we're using today is one of them. So the Meandering Meadows suite the suite is not available until a little later this month when the little adhesive back dragon flies and birds are restocked. But you can still order everything else, and there's no additional discount if you order the whole suite. So the only thing you get a discount on is the actual bundle. So if you order the bundle, you're getting the discount on it, and then you can just order everything else as it's available. And then there's the Fluffiest Friends, which is way too cute. I used that in my video last week and love that bundle. So again, online exclusives, make sure you're going and taking a peek at those. All right, let's get started. So I have to confess early in the video that I totally messed up my cutting. So This card, the designer series paper, both of these started as 3 3/4 by 5 inches. So 3 3/4 wide by 5 inches tall. I just chopped the piece of designer series paper, kind of took the section of it that I wanted and cut it down to that. For my actual card that I'll be posting on the blog tomorrow and that I've written the instructions for, I cut this at 1 1/4, so down the side. Again, I'll put it all together here. So this started out again 3 3/4 by 5. I cut it at 1 1/4 here. On my actual card, I cut it at 1 3/4. For my whatever reason, when I was cutting this up, I did it at 1 1/2 instead. And I don't know why, because I guess I just wasn't paying attention and wasn't thinking. So I didn't think it would modify the card, the look of the card that much. So you can decide at the end which one you like better, and if you want to cut it at 1 3/4 or 1 1/2. But like I said, I don't know, the paper's too pretty to waste it, so I didn't want to like not make the card with this piece of paper because I figured it was going to be close enough. And if you don't like the look of the smaller chop at the top, just go at 1 3/4 and you're all good. So, hey Nicole, glad that you are here, and I see Judith is here, and I'm glad glad you're liking it. So, and Marilyn, if I didn't say hi to you, hello, and Susan. So thanks everybody for hopping in. All right. So this is Pool Party cardstock, and this is cut to 4 by 5 1/4. So it's kind of your standard issue layer for the card front. And again, the designer series paper started at 3 3/4 wide by 5 inches tall. So that it's a 1/4 of an inch smaller, obviously, than the card stock panel that we've got over here. Now I'm just going to take these and basically lay them out here on my cardstock panel. And it's not really like a precise, oh, put this here and that there kind of thing. You want to obviously put them in the right order, but as far as how much of a gap you have between the pieces and how much of a gap you have around the edge, that's kind of up to you. I tried to make mine look as even as possible around the edge and then in the center, but if it doesn't turn out perfectly that way, that is okay too. So we're going to take a little Stampin' Seal, and again, this is cut at 1 1/4 here, and 1 1/2 for this card, or 1 3/4 for my actual card that I'm going to be posting on the blog tomorrow. And I'm just going to take this and I'm going to tuck it down here in the corner, again just trying to make it so that it's sort of even around the edge and hopefully fairly even in the center. I'm going to take my larger piece and again using a little Stampin' Seal around the edges of it, if I can get my Stampin' Seal to roll and behave itself. Then I'm going to go over here, and again I'm trying to get it so that it's somewhat even and straight. Whoop, let go, let go. And I thought the gap looked a little better smaller in the center, so I tried to kind of slide the pieces together so there wasn't a huge gap in the middle. All right. Then we're going to take the 2 pieces up at the top and do the same thing. Again, nothing magical about it, and I wish I could tell you that I had measured it some way. I didn't. I just sort of eyeballed it and went, oh, I think it looks okay at this point, and that was where it went. So, all right. And then the last little piece, we'll stick that on with a little Stampin' Seal as well. And the only difficult piece is just making sure that you stick it on the right way around and not upside down like I almost did right there. Not that you'd probably be able to notice very much with this one because it's kind of, I don't know, the greenery images, you can't really tell that much. All right. So there we go. Ta-da, the hardest part of the whole card. So, hey, Amy, thanks for hopping in. Then I've got a piece of crushed curry cardstock, and I cut it in half. This is just standard 8.5 by 11, and I scored it at 5.5. It's cut at 4 1/4. So this is one of those cards that if you like the side fold cards, you can certainly do that with this card. So you can cut it to 5.5 by 8.5 and score it at 4 1/4 down the side. You get to pick which way you like it better. I prefer the top fold cards, so that's generally what I do, unless, of course, I happen to have a card base that is cut to the right size, and then I can show you both, but this one I did not happen to have one, so you just got the top fold card. And I'm using a couple Stampin' Dimensionals, and we're going to stick this to the card front. So love seeing layouts, designer paper. I know the designer paper in this pack is really really pretty, and I agree that it would be overwhelming bigger. So the 6x6 I think is a good size. And yeah, anything I can do to chop it up and make it cardstock size or card front sized, I definitely am always happy to do that. So, all right, sticking that down with some Stampin' Dimensionals. And then I decided, because it's pretty and I had it, I was going to go ahead and use the pecan pie, depending on where you're from, 3/8 inch center stripe ribbon. Again, this is one of those that is in the online exclusive, so it's available as part of the whole suite, or you can order it individually if you like it. And yeah, just going to take that and we're going to run it across the card front. And when I do that, I usually stick it down with some Stampin' Seal. So I'm just going to do a little Stampin' Seal here, try to make sure that it's in the center of the card, or somewhat in the center of the card. And it doesn't really matter because the sentiment over this is pretty large, so I can have this be kind of messy and yucky looking on the background and nobody's going to know it. So hey, Ginger, thanks for hopping in. And it is such a great pack of paper. And I saw you ordered it today, so I'm excited and you're going to have fun playing with it. So, all right, so I'm going to take my ribbon against the 3/8 inch pecan pie center stripe, I think is what it's called, center stripe ribbon. And we're just going to stick that down here on the card front, kind of in a V shape. And again, no specific placement or anything special that you need to know about how to stick it down, other than just use the little Stampin' Seal and right in the center of it. And that'll hold it well enough that you're going to be able to stick your sentiment on over the top of it and everything will be held together. All right, so I'm going to set that aside while we do some stamping. And I've got a piece of garden green cardstock, and I've got the Thinking of You sentiment from the Garden Meadow stamp set. And I'm going to use my little embossing buddy because I just put lotion on my hands, so I'll probably be dropping everything too. But I do find that I tend to get smudges of embossing powder when I have just put lotion on my fingers. So, all right. So we're going to ink this up with some Versamark. And we'll stamp it here on the garden green cardstock. And it doesn't matter it doesn't have to be stamped straight or anything like that, because we're going to be die cutting it. So if you want to stamp it crazy and crooked like I just did, you can do that. So, all right. So let me grab my white embossing powder. This is from the Basics Embossing Powders. And they are a 3-pack. You get white, clear, and black in the 3-pack of embossing powder when you order the Basics. So we're just going to sprinkle that on, tap it off, close up the lid before I turn on the heat tool and have things go flying everywhere. So we're going to heat emboss. So I've got, turn this on. This is the Stampin' Up! Heat tool. There are 2 settings on it. There's a level 1 setting for drying and a level 2 setting for heat embossing. So level 1 setting will, you can do things like if you're going to watercolor and want to speed up the process of drying a little bit, you can use your level 1 setting, or if you have an ink, sometimes the darker inks take a little bit longer to dry. If you want to hurry that up, you can use the level 1 setting. Level 2 setting is for heat embossing, and that's what we're doing today, but it does take just a second for it to heat up warm enough to actually heat emboss. So that's why I'm just yucking and pointing the heat tool off into space. I'm going to turn it over here, and it's probably getting close to being ready. Yep, there it starts to go. Hopefully you can see it on there. It kind of turns bright white and shiny when it's done cooking. You just want to run your heat tool over the whole image and make sure you get it all embossed. But you don't want to overheat it because you can burn your embossing powder. And then it turns all brown and yucky. So, all right. And it gets really dull too. So if that happens, it turns dull and brown and yucky, you'll know that you just burnt it. Try it again. So, all right, I'm going to grab my third from the largest of the Stylish Shapes circles, and we're just going to go cut the sentiment out. So I will be right back. My die cutting machine is over here to my left, so I'll be off screen for 1 second. All right. There we go. Put that back before I lose track of everything. And then I'm going to bring my card base back in, and we're going to stick the sentiment on. So I haven't tried to heat emboss yet. Oh, it's lots of fun. It's really easy, actually. I know the first time that I did it, I was really nervous too. And I'm like, is it really all I need is Versamark and a heat tool and embossing powder, and that's all you really need. And yep, that's all you really need. So it's a lot of fun, so give it a try. So, all right, going to use some Stampin' Dimensionals, and I'm kind of putting it to the outside edges because I want to make sure that at least some of it is stuck on the card front and not just on the ribbon, so that, because the ribbon, it's held on securely enough, but I think if you got a sentiment stuck over the top of it, that it might accidentally pull it loose, and I don't necessarily, I don't want that to happen. I don't want the card to fall apart in somebody's hands. So, all right, there we go. Then we've got that done, and next up, a little bit of stamping and coloring. So I've got the two images from the Garden Meadow stamp set, and they're the two flower images. There's a tall flower and a small flower, and that's what these are. And I've got Tuxedo Black Memento ink, and I'm just going to ink up the images and stamp them here on basic white cardstock. All right. And then I'm going to color it with a couple of the little Stampin' blends. Get this set aside. And I've got Old Olive, Daffodil Delight, and I think it's Highland Heather. Oh, Fresh Freesia, wrong name. Fresh Freesia Stampin' Blends. I knew it was whatever colors were in the paper. So I'm going to color in start with the leaves down here. I'm starting with the light Old Olive. Again, you can, if you prefer to start with the dark, you certainly can do that. I've just found that the light is easier for me. Because I can always add a little more color. It's harder for me to take the color off if I've accidentally put it too dark. So then I went over the smaller little image here and just kind of colored a little bit over the sort of grass and greenery on the background. Then I'm going to come in with my dark Old Olive, and we're going to add a little bit of dark to the leaves and a few little spots of dark Old Olive here, just a couple little dashes here and there of dark in with the kind of background grass. And then we'll come back in here and we're going to blend up a little bit with the light Old Olive. I prefer to use the bullet tip when I'm doing my coloring, but if you like the brush end, you can certainly use that as well. It's just my preference. I feel like I have a little more control when I use the bullet tip on it. So again, Fresh Freesia is the next one that I'm going to do here. And this image is super easy to color because it's really not very well defined. So you can kind of color whatever you want to color on it, which is one of my favorite things. So, all right, going to come back in with a little bit of the dark Fresh Freesia. And again, just kind of adding a little dash in here and there. And because it's really an undefined image, you don't have to spend hardly any time coloring it. I'm going to use the dark Daffodil Delight to add a little touch of color sort of here and there on the purple flowers, just because I wanted it to look like they had, little flower centers or something on them. And then we're going to also use the dark to color in the flowers on the smaller flower set. This set of this color is dark Daffodil Delight, but it's pretty close to Crushed Curry. When you look at it, they're not really side by side, so it looks pretty close to Crushed Curry. And then I'm going to come back in with my dark Fresh Freesia and just put a little dot over the top of the flower centers. So there we go. That is my masterful coloring. I know you all are very impressed. So that's kind of how I roll when it comes to coloring. Super easy. Then I'm going to grab my die set here, and this is the tall die that will cut out the tall flowers. And then this one cuts out the little bunch of flowers here. So I'm going to be, again, off screen for 1 second while I go die cut these. So I'll be right back. And almost done. There we go. All right, there are my two little die cuts, and I'm going to put my two dies back on the sheet here before I lose track of those. Whoop, I almost went to put them on the wrong card. All right, then I have got my flowers, and we're just going to stick them here to the card front. I'm going to start with a couple of glue dots under, there we go. Going to put a couple of those maybe underneath the top part of the flowers here, and I'm probably going to put one underneath the leaf as well, so kind of in this area. And then I'm going to take a Stampin' Dimensional I'm going to put it at the very bottom of this one. These are my little half Stampin' Dimensionals. I do chop mine in half. If you don't like that and prefer to use the whole ones, you definitely can do that. I just prefer the half ones because I like the size of them a little bit better. Then I'm going to take this and tuck it right up here next to my sentiment. And again, I've got the glue dots under here and a Stampin' Dimensional down here. And then I'm going to grab a couple more of the little glue dots. Actually, probably one more glue dot. And probably a Stampin' Dimensional for underneath the very bottom of this. Trying to glue this to myself. Yikes. All right. I'm going to take that and we will just tuck it right up here on the bottom part. And we're almost done with the card front. So in this sweet collection, there are the, what's the official name of them? Adhesive-backed dragonflies and birds. And those are actually unavailable right now. They're currently on back order, but they should be back around the end of November. These are the brushed brass butterflies that are in the current annual catalog. And they have a very similar look to them. And I think butterflies look perfect in the Meadow. So I went ahead and just decided that I would use some of the butterflies rather than the little dragonflies and birds. Since you guys can't get those, I figured I'd just use a couple of the butterflies and give you kind of the look of what it would look like with the dragonflies and birds, so that when you're able to get those, if you want to go with the dragonflies and birds, you can certainly do that. Or you can use the little brushed brass butterflies. There's a little one down here, which I know he's kind of hard to see because he gets lost in the flowers. But there you go. That's it for the card front. On the inside of the card, just kept it super simple as well. And I'm going to bring back that taller flower image in Tuxedo Black Memento ink. We're going to ink that up, and we're just going to stamp it down here in the lower left corner of a panel of basic white cardstock. This one's cut to about 4 by 5 1/4. And I'm going to color it again, same color scheme that we used on the card front. I'm going to start with the Old Olive, light Stampin' Blends marker. And we're going to color in the leaves and the grass with that. And then we'll come back in with the dark, add a little bit of color down at the base of the leaves, and a little bit here and there through the grass down below. All right, I'll come back in with the light again and blend these together. And there we go, get it colored all the way out to the end of the leaf. All right. Then I'm going to grab my Fresh Freesia light Stampin' Blends marker and again just color, kind of scratch right over the top of the little flowers that are here. And I'm sure that these flowers have a name, but I don't know what it is. I know I've seen them before. They're tall and kind of stack up, and I think they're normally blues. But anyway, I colored them purple because I wanted it to match the card front. And there was purple on the card front. There were purple flowers, so I'm going with that. They're purple. And then I'm going to come back in with the dark Daffodil Delight Stampin' Blends marker and just put a couple little dots here and there to make it look like flower centers and give it a little variation in color. And scoot those out of the way and stick this on the inside of the card base, and we're going to be all done with the card for today. So a super quick and simple one, and just loved the kind of window look. And I'll put them side by side here at the end, and you can tell me whether you like the one where it's chopped a little higher or chopped a little lower. And you can decide whether you think the first one was a mistake or the second one. You can make it however you want. So, all right, so using a little Stampin' Seal to put that on the inside of the card. Then I'm just going to fold it in half and do a quick crease at the top with the bone folder. And there we go. That's it for the card today. So this one, the one on the left, is the one that I cut at 1 3/4, and this is the one that I mistakenly cut at 1 1/2. Unless you think 1 1/2 looks better, then you can say that I made the mistake at 1 3/4. So again, I think either way you can make it work. Either way, whichever way you prefer, you can make it larger, smaller, or you could cut it completely in half and in half. So whatever works best for you. Try out some different layouts with it, and yeah. So lots of fun. It's a beautiful pack of paper. If I probably forgot to say it's Meandering Meadows Designer Series paper. If I forgot to say that earlier, that's what it is. And that is also one of the online exclusive items that is available today. You like the 1 3/4 best? I did too, but that was just, like I said, but after I chopped it all up, I didn't want to waste the paper, so you got stuck with both versions. So, all right. Thanks so much for joining. All the details for this card will be on my blog tomorrow, which is stampwithamyk.com. And I will link up directly to the blog post once it goes live about 8 o'clock in the morning Eastern time tomorrow. And it'll have a link to a PDF tutorial, so you'll be able to get the measurements and all that good stuff from there. So, all right, and you just got the Sweet Marilyn. Good, good. You're going to have lots of fun playing with it. It's beautiful. So glad y'all like the card. Thanks again for joining me today. I appreciate you being here. I will plan to be live around 2 o'clock Eastern time on Friday, and then we'll see you again next week, Tuesday, around 2 o'clock Eastern time. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and